So what you're saying, Noshir, is that this provision for a competent authority was already there in 2020. So why do you need another amendment bill to say the same thing?
No, actually, now the powers of this commissioner and who's the competent authority is being named. So, I mean, they will set up some kind of a commissioner at the central level, probably, who and his powers have been given in terms of these assets can be sold by this commissioner. Uh, and where these monies can go, it can go to a government fund or it can. So, all these things have been stated in the proposed amendment bill. So you can say it is nothing new. I've been talking about it since 2020 that this is a very kind of, if I use that word, a draconian amendment that happened 5 years ago. Today, when this is the competent authority is being named, everybody is up in arms. I think for 5 years, everybody was just quiet about it.
Coming to the details of this competent authority or as a designated authority as the bill talks about it, like as it is envisaged in the bill, how do you see it as a mechanism for fairness, transparency, and accountability?
See, I think the firstly, this idea of when you are deregistered, I think somewhere natural justice is often denied. Most of the times FCRA registration is cancelled, if I may use the term, on a whim and a fancy. I mean, there is no cogent reason given for it. It largely may say you have been in violation of some provision, section 12 of FCRA, which particular portion of section 12. So, I mean, there is complete ambiguity in terms of why your registration has been cancelled. So there is no first over cap, and there is absolutely no fairness in taking away assets of 100% compliant organization who has voluntarily surrendered its FCRA. How could you be doing that? Where is fairness in that? I would counter argue.
Right. I mean, you're saying there is no element of natural justice here at all.
I mean, earlier on, they never used to give reasons. Now, the reasons they give are very ambiguous. I mean, there must be a reason given, a cogent reason that you have been genuinely in violation of certain things.
You know, Noshir, today or yesterday, maybe one of the members of parliament had put out a post on social media saying that, on this question of lack of transparency, he had said we just wanted in the parliament some data on how many NGOs have had their FCRA cancelled, how many have been suspended. Just pure numbers. Forget about giving reasons. Just the pure number, numerical data was asked and it was denied to him in parliament more than half a dozen times. So, what is the necessity for not sharing this information? Is there any legitimate
You
grounds
must,
for secrecy here?
somebody, you must understand that the law here is the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, which is kind of regulated, or I would say rather controlled. In fact, I would drop the word Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, and I think it should be renamed Foreign Contribution Control Act, because that's what really is really happening. Uh, in terms of what you just said, uh, figures have been asked. I mean, we are not even asking details why they were cancelled. We are just asking how many were. Now, if a member of parliament is denied this, why is it so? It is probably because we are dealing here with the Ministry of Home Affairs. Let's say you are a for-profit organization, you are regulated by Ministry of Finance, and the law which applies to you is FEMA, the Foreign Exchange Management Act, which is a kind of by Ministry of Finance. But if you happen to be an NGO, it's not FEMA. It is Ministry of Home Affairs Internal Security Wing. In other words, like NGOs are treated as some kind of a security threat to this country. Let's make no bones of this. This is how the entire thinking is, the entire narrative is around. So you may be a for profit and more money comes into this country through the FDI and FII route than it comes through FCRA. We all know about that. How much does how much money does it come in every year from FCRA route? Maybe 20,000 crores, 25,000 crores. You think with that kind of money, these organizations which are doing some genuine work really upset things for the government of India? I mean, why is this based on fear psychosis? I fail to understand this.
Right. That's a really interesting point you make, Noshir, about how the foreign money which comes in through the FCRA route to non-profits is a very minor fraction of compared to the amount of money which comes in through FDI, right? and yet there is an excessive amount of interest in terms of security towards this kind of flows. But now, even if we assume that FCRA is meant primarily to operate to trusts and non-profits, this 2026 amendment is expanding it to private companies too. Even the directors of partnership firms, private companies, they are also being brought under it. So is there a rationale for why they are also being brought under this law?
So I'll tell you, because it was never part of the law. But you must understand what changed between the 1976 Act and the 2010 Act.